Make sure you record it to the cloud.
There we go.
It is recorded. It is recorded.
Hello, hello, everyone. We are so glad that you made it this afternoon. We're having a few technical difficulties. That is all my fault. So I apologize ahead of time. So as we get ready, if you could put in the chat your name and the name of your business or what you plan on getting out of this meeting today.
All right.
Recording in progress.
Somebody is
It's
it's a lot of
Tamora.
background.
I'm getting out of it.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. I do have your profile now because I'm off of the phone. So I do have it.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad that you guys took the time out to come and hang out with us tonight. If you wasn't on just a few seconds ago, we were just wanting everybody to drop their business name, and what they would like to get out of this, so that we could make it very beneficial to everyone as they log in and join us on tonight and for the future to come. Tamora, if you can introduce WOW.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me today? This evening, should I say? Do I sound clear?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Once again, this is the WOW, which stands for Women Helping Other Women Out. Our owner of this, or should I say founder of WOW, is Crystal Ifukoria, and she created WOW. And basically what WOW is, it's a organization geared towards to help, just what it says, help women out in their business endeavors. We provide um, career counseling. We do shows such as this here to give you, to educate, to empower, to support one another, to network with each other. That's basically what WOW is. And let's see, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Okay. Well, let's not waste any time and let's go ahead and jump in. Um, what we wanted to do with WOW is just to highlight some of the things that we know as the ways to wealth. There are so many different ways and so many different things that you can do to gain wealth. And I have contacted a lot of people in the community, some not in Tulsa, but just to bring to you just different ways. It's so many different, like I said, it was so many different ways. And there's never a wrong way. It's you can either take the straight and narrow or the curvy one. It just depends on where you're getting your resources from and your mentorship from. So without further ado, one of my mentors. She is my mentor. She is not only my mentor, but she is my friend. Her name is Miss Camille Diaz. And I mean, one thing that I learned from her is that she is definitely a connector. She is definitely a connector. She has connected me with so many different women in the community and men for that matter, just to grow and develop myself. Um, to hope to be one day to grow up to be like her. Yes. She is she does a lot of different speaking engagements. She hosts Money Heart, and I'll allow her to tell a little bit about herself as well. But she's an author and she's a financial professional. She loves to empower people with the knowledge and the resources that she has. Her desire is to see others succeed in business, and that's why I've allowed her to take me under her wing. And yeah, she just loves to help and inspire individuals to design their path, not her path, to help them design their path to wealth. Whichever way that may be, she's always supported me. She's held my hand. She's watched me cry and comfort me a lot. She's amazing. She's amazing. And when you have an amazing friend and mentor, she's not to be kept to yourself, but to share her with the world. So I want to turn it over to Camille.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Leslie. I feel like that was a lot to live up to right there. No pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure.
Oh, welcome everyone. So glad to see you this evening and that you were able to jump on and that you were all interested in learning about ways to wealth. I'm just honored to be here and very grateful that you've all joined us. Like Leslie mentioned, I am a financial professional. My company is called Serenity Financial. When most people hear that I'm in financial services and we first meet, they usually do something like, oh, hey, I got a guy, because they're really worried that I'm going to want to pressure them into something, or that they don't really have enough saved to even start the conversation. So for me, it doesn't matter if somebody has $10 or $10 million. It's always worth having a chat and figuring out if there's some kind of strategy we can put in place for that person. We frequently teach classes to help people understand how to grow their wealth. And so I'm super honored to be here and be able to share just a snippet with all of you. Like Leslie said, I did write a book. It's called The Shake Up, Misfit to Best Fit in 30 Days. It's about figuring out your path to happiness and developing the courage to follow it. That's on Amazon if you want to stalk me later. And then I do run a podcast called Money Heart. It's available on all of the major channels, so you're always welcome to go listen to that. On that show, we explore the emotional side of money. I am always looking for speakers for that show. So if anyone happens to know someone that would be a great guest for a podcast, you're welcome to introduce us. So let me get to what I wanted to share with you the most today, because my topic for today is the habit of saving. I actually want to tell you a story about the founder of our parent company and kind of how he got started. So his name is Mike, and he actually started his kind of financial journey 30 some years ago. It's creeping up closer to 40 now, but that's okay. We're not really counting, right? We don't count that kind of stuff, do we? Because if he gets older, I have to get older too. So no counting. But anyway, he had graduated college, and he'd had about maybe 5 jobs in 8 years or something like that, and just wasn't really finding his fit. And at the same time, he had also managed to run up about $30,000 of credit card debt. And at that time, $30,000 in credit card debt, given inflation, is probably closer to $100,000 of credit card debt today. Would you say that's a lot of credit card debt? A lot, a little? Yeah, a lot. Okay, I think so too. That would freak me out. But there are actually a lot of people who have that amount of debt today, not always in credit card debt, but usually in student loan debt. It's really common. Student loan debt is like second to mortgages as far as the large amount of debt that people tend to have. And that stuff really slows you down when you're trying to do your saving, because you're always trying to figure out, do I pay it off or do I save? What do I do? But anyway, Mike got this postcard in the mail one day, and he said, the postcard invited him to come to a class. And he said, you know what? I definitely think that they screwed up and they sent this to the wrong Mike, but because it's a really common name. But you know what? I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to go figure out what the wealthy people talk about behind our backs and learn something. So he went to the class and he sat through it, and he actually really, really enjoyed it. But he thought the speaker might ask him for an appointment. So he decided he was going to, instead of actually staying and talking to him, he's just going to sneak out the back door. So he goes to sneak out the back door, and the speaker, probably wearing track shoes or something, because he met him at the door, and he's like, hey, why are you taking off so fast? And he goes, oh, well, I really loved what you talked about, but I didn't feel like there was any way you could possibly help me. So I was just going to get out of here. And the speaker's name was Jim, and Jim says to him, well, tell me what's going on. So Mike tells him about the $30,000 in debt, the 8 jobs in 5 years, the not making it work kind of thing. He had a family, he had kids, like the whole deal. He's just really struggling. And Jim says, okay, I will make you a deal. I will give you an hour of my time if you give me an hour of your time. And so Mike's like, all right, whatever, let's do it. The next week, Jim is sitting at Mike's kitchen table, and Mike looks at him and he says, well, Jim, nothing's changed. I'm still broke. And Jim says to him, well, you know what? That's totally okay, because I do something that everybody wants, and that is create a big old pile of money for retirement. And so he explained to Mike, he said, do you think you could save $5 a day? And he asked him, so I'll ask you, do you think you could save $5 a day? It's kind of like one latte less, one small thing that maybe you won't buy on Amazon. Doesn't seem too difficult to save $5 a day. So Mike's like, yeah, I could do that. I can definitely do that. And Jim explained to Mike, well, if you were able to do that over your entire working life at a decent interest rate, you would end up with about $500,000 saved at retirement. Well, Mike was pretty much blown away, because he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that that's a thing. How did I not know this? And so he got super excited. And then all of a sudden he got this like deer in the headlights freaked out look. And Jim says, you look a little panicked. What's going on? Mike says, well, I just did the math. So what math do you think he most likely did? Well, he took 5 and he multiplied times 30, because we usually think of our money in terms of months. 30 days in a month is $150 a month. And he said something very profound. Mike says, I'm pretty sure I can do the $5 a day, but there is no way I can save $150 a month. It's the same thing. So is that emotion or logic? Okay, that was emotion. So if you remember nothing else from this evening, if you can remember to take the emotion out of your money decisions and just use math and logic, then you will be much more successful at winning the money game. So continuing on, Jim said, okay, well, Mike, don't worry, because we have this thing we call the funnel. And what we do with the funnel is we take a look at somebody's entire financial picture: health, life, auto insurance, homeowners, 401k, IRA, their mortgage, tax returns, student loans, all of that kind of stuff, and kind of figure out where we can save, where we can change things. And that night, he actually found for Mike $300 a month that he could be saving, because it was just going to other things. So whether you have a professional do this with you or you do it yourself, take the time each year to go through your financial products and make sure, am I getting the best rate? Am I fully covered for what I want? Is this a product that I need? Is there a way I can pay this off faster? Is there a forgiveness program out there? All that kind of stuff. It makes sense to do a review of your things. That $300 he found for Mike that night, he put it into the same equation, and Mike discovered that he could have $1 million saved by the time he got to retirement. He got really excited, and he ended up coming to work with the company that Jim worked for and learned how to do all this kind of stuff, paid off all his debt, and then started the company that we work for now. But the main point of that story that I want you to walk away with is it doesn't really matter how much you are saving. What matters more is that you start the habit of saving. So even if you are putting aside 1% of what you're making into an account that's just going to be your emergency fund, or there's just going to be something that sits there until you decide what you want to do with it, or you have enough to invest somewhere for your future, just start the habit, because that is what will make the difference. I can tell you a little pile will start to grow into a slightly bigger pile, and you'll see that growth happen, and you will get fired up. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, my $100 is $120. And then all of a sudden, oh, look, here's 10 more. I could add that to the pile. Oh, look, there's 20 over there. I could add that to the pile. And that habit will build on itself. So you will always end up with money in your future. So that is what I wanted to share with you. I think someone asked me for my contact information, so I'll put that in. And let's see, if there's time, I can probably take a couple of questions.
Most definitely. There will be time at the end of this. Camille, I thank you so much for sharing that. I remember when I very first met you and you shared that with me, and I was just like, you know, so I was definitely the deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, nobody had ever, told me about how to start saving. Like, we all have bank accounts and stuff like that, but it's generally not a savings account. What it's for, it's generally an account when I'm at the store and I run out of money in my checking account, I'll just, transfer it over. And we never think about the power of saving and the power of just being disciplined, and how being around people that have the knowledge of this can make for a brighter future or a better future for us all. So I thank you. I thank you for that, for sharing that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I will add to that. I'm not sure, if anyone does this except for me, but I found it to be really effective, that I will actually label my savings accounts. So if I'm saving for a vacation, it becomes my vacation fund. Or, my fund that's for emergencies, I actually call that my immortality fund, because something will always happen, but I will survive if I have money in that fund. And I've used it, stuff has happened, things break around the house or whatever, and we got to buy a new one. Go get the money from over there, and it doesn't screw up all of the rest of the bills and everything else that's going on when that happens. You don't have to ruin your entire month or year financially when you've got that money set aside. If you're looking for percentages of things to set aside, I'll share really quickly what I think is a great way if you can do it. 50% is your living expenses of what you make. 20% is going to your savings, so you're paying your future self. And then the other 30% is for all your fun stuff. Okay, it's really simple and it works. So if you're able to do that, that's kind of the goal. If you, like I said, if you have to start with 1% on your savings, just start there. If you have to start with 0.5%, if it's $2 a month, whatever, just get the habit going and then work your way up. So thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. I put my contact info in the chat, and I will add the link to the podcast and the link to the book for you while everybody else is doing their thing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Camille. Tamar, if you would like.
Hey, Nancy, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
All right. Well, that was a great lesson. I wrote some things down that she said, especially about saving that $5 a day. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you do that, then you just don't understand the progress, and you don't touch it, accumulates. So I was like, oh, that's a good point. So I really did like that point. But we're going to move right along. I know we're going to have questions in the end, but I want to introduce one of my favorite ladies tonight. We've been bumping into each other for a long time. And we finally just she read up and said, I know you. I was like, oh, do we? She's like, yes. So we do officially know each other. Not only do we know each other, but we have had the privilege of working together and also being a part of this WHOW. She's a very, very nice person to have on your team. But this is Leslie Simmons. She's a mentor, business owner. She's a mentor. She's a business owner. She's a financial analyst. She's a wealth educator, life insurance agent, connector, founder of CEO of Abundance financial board members of a nonprofit organization, and she's also one of WOW's members on the group. Wesley saw her firsthand in financial devastation that can help that can happen to anyone, which is critical. I mean, it can be death or a loss in the family or a divorce. Anything can cause you to have that financial hardship. So she took her experiences, and that's when she became the founder and co-owner of Abundance Financial Services, which is a board nonprofit organization. Yes, a nonprofit organization. One second, I kind of lost my thing here. I apologize. Leslie's mission is to educate the community on why behind on education on why they're behind the importance of living. Okay, so I think this is saying why it is important, the importance of living and benefiting of having the life insurance, which is a must. Leslie not only educate, but she also empowers her community with the knowledge to break generational curses of poverty. I love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give Leslie our fully undivided attention as she go forth. I'm so interested in hearing what she have to say. It's all your floor, Leslie.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. Hey, I'm just gonna be 100% honest. I really like to do things one-on-one. I am not good at Zoom at all. I have something that I wanted to share, but I don't even know how to do it. so if y'all can help me and tell me how wait a minute, I
Scroll
think I
over the
might.
bottom. There's a green up arrow.
Yes.
I'll let you
think
pick a
I'm
screen
getting
to share.
there. I think I'm getting there. I think
Yep,
I'm
there you
getting
do.
there.
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. I feel like I didn't accomplish some things tonight. I do. I feel like I've definitely accomplished some things tonight. So, what I wanted to talk about was living benefits. So the first thing that I wanted to say was like most people buy life insurance with one goal in mind. They want to make sure their family is taken care of when they're gone. The proceeds from their life insurance policy, better known as death benefits, can help to ensure that your loved ones have the financial resources they need to continue their lifestyles and to live out their dreams. But that's not the only way life insurance can benefit you and the people that you care about. Today, I want to talk about a few ways that you could use life insurance while you're living to help secure both you and your family's financial future. Living benefits policy grows in value over time. You can tap into the value while you're living to help pay for other financial priorities like a down payment on a house, your kids' college, and or a wedding. Hold on, guys. We almost there. I'm sorry, I'm kind of messed up on my slides, but I'm getting there. Okay. In life, we hope that our income is always greater than our expenses. That's what those two lines represent. We want our income higher than our expenses. Do me a favor. Think about someone that has had a stroke, a heart attack, or suffer from cancer. Those are the top 3 negative life events that causes most expenses to go up and their incomes to go down. And where those two crosses, that's where debt happens. And most of the time, 48% of small businesses close, 50% of home foreclosures, and 62% of Americans end up in bankruptcy due to a drop in their income. So the goal for living benefits policies is to replace 100% of the money you need to pay for your living expenses and cover your income so that you can continue to provide for your family. Living benefits falls under the insurance umbrella. we're going to talk about $1 million policy for the sake of math. Because I did not do good in math, guys. But when we're working with $1 million, I mean, that makes your eyes big enough to where you can see, or at least I can see. Let's say that you experience a critical injury or illness, like we talked about before, a heart attack, stroke, cancer, loss of sight, loss of limbs. You know, how would you fare? How would you be financially? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Critical benefits allows you up to 75% of $1 million. That means that you would have had access to $750,000. Terminal illness. Terminal illness is when a person is told that they can have that you have less than 24 months to live. Terminal benefits allow you to access up to 90% of your benefits, which is $900,000. And chronic illness, which is the most invasive of all three. As a matter of fact, this one causes twice as many bankruptcies as the other two combined. Chronic illness is when you can't perform 2 of your 6 daily activities, which are eating, toileting, standing, dressing, transferring, and bathing. I know most of the time people think like that's crazy. But the crazy thing is 50% of us will spend time in a facility before we pass away. Chronic illness offers 2%. Doesn't seem like much until I tell you that's 2% a month for about 4 years. And the great thing about it, it's all life insurance so that it's tax-free. All of this falls up under a tax-free life insurance policy. I like to call this life insurance with living benefit, the insurance you don't have to die to use. If you do, for instance, die too soon, your beneficiary will get 100% of your $1 million policy, of course. And we are 8 times more likely to need living benefits than to die too soon. Let me get out of here. Stop sharing. The first time that I heard of this policy, I had no idea. I didn't even know that living benefits existed. And so it was really like a blow my head back, like a wow factor for me to know that I had something that if once my health insurance, because we know our health insurance only pay for the doctor in the hospital, but I had something to not only cover my health, but to cover my wealth as well. That's powerful because a lot of people, it's simply wiped out for this simple reason. And with the policies that we offer, it's no extra cost. And I know only 5% of people even know about this to even ask the person that insures you. So my goal is just to educate everybody that I come around, everybody that I talk to, and just to let them know that there's something out there that will protect you. We're always looking for things to protect our cars and protect our house, but there's something out there to protect your wealth as well as your cars, your house, and the things that are important to you, your family, your future. So that's it, guys. That's Leslie, and I like to say that I'm Leslie with living benefits. Tamara.
Leslie, can I tell a story about what you just shared there? Because something really struck me.
Of course.
Would that be okay?
Of course.
Yeah. So it's actually 2 stories. One, my dad had pancreatic cancer in 2007 was when he was diagnosed. And my mom became his primary caretaker. And I don't think any of us had ever even heard of living benefits at that time. We definitely didn't have it. And because he got so sick so fast, she didn't really have time to do anything. She had to be with him every moment of the day, always taking care of him, always, all the meals, all the bathroom trips, like everything she had to do. And I watched her lose about 60 pounds in the 8 months that he was sick, not intentionally, just because she wasn't taking care of herself. So I wish they would have had this, because then she could have hired people to come in and do all that work for her, and she could have just enjoyed their last months together instead of doing that. And I think when even, more than that, when the concept of living benefits hit me the most was when my husband, who is a cyclist, he rides his bicycle, competitively and things. He was just turning into a driveway and the front wheel got stuck in a crack and he flipped over his bike. He landed on his spine and twisted a vertebrae, which caused him to lose feeling in his arms. He couldn't work. It was a huge mess. And he was, he had pain for about 8 or 9 months or so before it finally went back. But it scared me a lot, because even though he did recover, it made me think, what if he didn't? How would I take care of my family? How would I take care of the kids? He was our primary income earner, and all of a sudden, in an instant, he couldn't do anything other than lay on the couch. So, that when I look at this living benefits, I realize that if we didn't have something and we had a big event like that, the biggest money we would be tapping into would be our savings. And we see that all the time. People go pull their 401ks, their IRAs, all of their retirement savings to pay for this kind of stuff. And then they get better because the medical system's pretty good. The next thing you know, it's over, because now they're, in their 50s and 60s and they don't have any money left saved up. So they've got to work forever. So I think this is super powerful for protecting your wealth. I'm so glad you shared that, Leslie. Thank you.
Yes, because as Tamara had mentioned, that I actually live this myself. And I was 18 years old. My mom had a stroke on my 18th birthday. And from there, our life completely changed. I would like to say that we were upper class, but I quickly realized that there was no such thing as upper class for us. We were as after that happened, we found ourselves in poverty. I found myself 18 years old having to raise not only my own child, but my sister as well, and take care of my mom that was a vegetable for over a year in the hospital. I had to drop out of school and pretty much be there. Thank God I am from a small town, and the job that she works for did, help with her medical bills or whatever. But due to that, we lost our house, we lost our car, we lost our dignity. I mean, I lost who I was. And not only to mention how I felt, my mother's still today don't talk to her friends that she had back then because she's embarrassed of the financial state that she was in. I mean, you work your entire life and you take care of your kids and you give them a really good life to one day have something medically happen to you that she did recover from. Now, not 100%, she was never able to go back to work, but she recovered enough to be able to take care of herself with help. We have to have somebody come in. But the crazy thing was I was 18. I didn't know anything about living benefits or life insurance or whatever that was. And I think she was so busy trying to take care of us that she didn't have those things in place either. So the only thing that we had to rely on was the government assistance, food stamps, and housing, and Medicaid and Medicare. And just think, I mean, if that happened to me today, where I would be, with everything up, up in the air, I'm so blessed that I bumped into the people that I did a couple years ago, to where I don't have to worry about those things. I have those things in place, and that it sparked a fire in me, not only to do that for my family, but to use my body, my person as a vessel to be able to give it to everybody that I come in contact with. People always say I talk so much. But it's usually
Can I say
about
something?
these things.
Can I say something here just for a minute?
You definitely can. You definitely
I mean,
can.
it just really sparked just a light bulb in me when you said living benefits, and how, in our community, because we don't have the financial resources sometimes, or we just don't have money at all. I mean, that $5 a day that Miss Des was talking about, it sometimes is like, I tell people, you're saying it's just $5. Sometimes $5 can be 5 million for somebody that can't get the $5. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that comes with practice and understanding that you don't have to die to benefit. When you living benefits, I'm like, you know what? I like that, because we're not dying to live. You know what I'm saying? So living benefits is something that we should teach our children. I was explaining to a lady on the job today, we were talking about being obese and being fat, and it's like, well, we were trained to cook a certain way because at that point that's all we had to eat. So I'm saying, from the grave to from the womb to the grave, this is a way of life that we have to instill in our kids and anyone else that we come in contact with. We may not be able to have the whole, because I'm 50. So in a while, I only got more days behind me. I mean, behind me that I do in front of me. So that benefit of being able to benefit financially, I'm not saying it's not achievable, but I wish that this was going on back when I was, younger, and could get the concept of that. Here I am in my 50s and saying, okay, now I'm grabbing the concept. I'm not saying it's too late, but this is stuff that we need to mentor young girls that are in elementary school. How $5 may not seem like a lot at the moment, but you got to watch it grow so you can enjoy their living benefits. So
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
love it.
I mean, because with the living benefits, you can attach that to a term policy or a whole policy. And a lot of people have living benefits policies not only for their life, but they like to insure their houses. So let's say, for instance, if something happens and you know that you have to pay off your house in 20 years, so they'll get a living benefit, they'll do a living benefit policy for the 20 years while they're paying off their house, because you'll need more income if something were to happen. I mean, of course, we want to not only secure our house, but the goal is to secure ourselves, to secure our wealth all the way around. So we would want to not only have a term policy, but as well as a whole policy. But the beautiful thing about this is that you can get it wherever you're at, 50, 60, 30, 18. I mean, and we'll talk about this later on in months to come, but I just had a grandbaby last month, and I couldn't wait to present this to my son, to be able to secure her future. But like I said, we'll talk about that later to come, because there is ways that you could make this work for your minor kids. It can. It's not only for us, but it will work for our minor kids as well.
Can I expand on something Tamara said? Because I thought it was a great point that she made. She mentioned the concept of generational wealth. Imagine if every time someone in our community passed away, 100,000, 250,000, $500,000 flowed into the community. How much of a difference would that make in people's lives?
Wow. That's major. that
Want to
is
change what's happening in your community and change what's happening for the future. This is one way to do it, whether it's that habit of saving, or it's making sure that people have sufficient life policies so that if something does happen to them, the community's not scrambling to try to pay bills and food and all of that kind of thing. It's handled.
And also too,
Yeah.
being able to be a good steward over that, because one thing that we do sometimes is that as soon as we get into a lot of money, we go rush out and we want to buy all this and all, but we don't think about, being a good steward over what you have. And that's a good, thing to also teach the, to win the community. We have to be on all angles, pull all corners in. It's, you can have the money but then go broke so fast because you're not learning how to invest or have that good stewardship over what you've been in, whether it's inherited or you saved for it. You still got to have the good steward over that.
Of
Yep. Once you
course.
know the information, share it.
I just want to open the floor up for everybody. It's not just Camille, Tamar, and myself. You guys can come off mute and ask questions or put your input in or whatever it is you I see the chat is blowing up. Whatever it is that you would like to talk about or to ponder, to ask questions, now is your time. Of course we'll put our info in the chat, but now is the time to be able to sit and just have that one-on-one time to understand a little bit better. So if there's anybody else.
Camille, maybe if you could expound a little bit on the power of a budget, right? And how that incorporates being disciplined and stewardship over our finances, and how you kind of recommend that we, incorporate budgets and financial plans in our life just day to day, right?
Yeah, happy to. Uh, I feel like sometimes people get intimidated by this concept of a budget because they have to, and I apologize if you hear my dog in the background over here, because they feel like they have to do a spreadsheet or some fancy calculation or something hard. There's like a budget. Oh, that's hard. I don't want to do a budget. And then the other piece of it is the piece where we say what we want to do and we write that down in our budget. And then when it comes to the time to make the decision of if I'm going to spend that money or not, we're like, it'll be all right. I'll just get this one thing. Or, oh, it's okay. I'll just take some money from over here and put it over here. So it's really the discipline piece that I think a lot of us tend to struggle with. So whether you're, and we can do another class on this. I actually have kind of a little budgeting workshop that I do. So if maybe Leslie will have me back in a future month to talk about my strategy for that. Essentially, the most basic budget is the one Leslie said. Keep your income higher than your expenses. If you can just start with that you're on your way. Okay. So that's the first piece of it. The next piece of it is not only listing out what you plan to save, what you plan to spend, it's making yourself believe that you are a person who follows that plan. So it's retraining your brain to recognize, I am a person who saves. I am a person who sticks to my budget. Okay. If you want something, you can't say, I don't do this. So let's say you're a smoker and you don't want to smoke anymore. Telling yourself, I don't want to smoke will not help you. Telling yourself, I am a person who is smoke-free will help you. Okay. I am a person who doesn't do something, but telling yourself what you are will. So if you want to be a person who sticks on budget, you have to own that personality. And then when a decision comes of how am I going to spend this? Oh, I'm someone who consults my budget. Oh, I see I have money for that. I will buy it. Oh, I see I've already spent my money in that column. I will not. So a huge part of the budget is the mental piece of it and really embracing, I want to be a person who saves. I want to be a person who has money in the future. I want to be a person with money in the bank. Therefore, I will choose to not buy the shoes that are on sale because I value having money in the bank. And it makes the decision really simple once you've laid out your rules and agreed to yourself that you're going to follow them. So it's really just agreeing to yourself. Am I answering your question? Is this helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing, helping all of us, self-included, I try to do a budget every time I get paid, right? And budget monthly, but, understanding the power of a budget really helps people to understand how to grow, what they have, right? Because a lot of us want more, but we, don't really understand how to manage what we have. And so
excellent point. If you're not managing what you have, how can you expect to receive more? Yes, if you can't even handle what you got, right? So yeah, fabulous, fabulous point. When it comes to each month or each paycheck, do your budget before the money comes in. Your brain gets all kinds of crazy excited when the money hits your bank account, and you cannot make good decisions anymore. It's really hard. So instead, I see Mary wants to add, do the budget first, and when the money comes in, just follow the plan. Go ahead, Mary.
I was just going to say, especially for anybody who, there's a lot of self-employed people here, but if you're still working, a normal, a so-called 9 to 5, whatever, you have a boss at a company, if they have a 401k, that is, step one is make sure that you're contributing to that, even if you start with 1%, if that's, if you got to take baby steps, do it. But I used to be a manager at Walgreens, and that was, the greatest gift I gave to all my kids when they turned 18. I used to raise high school kids for, 16-year-olds for a living, because we hired so many high school kids. But as soon as they turned 18 and they were eligible, we're like, it's, get enrolled in that. And then if you have a company that matches, you do whatever you can. Again, if you got to take baby steps to get there, that's okay. Get there eventually. But, if they match it, if they say, okay, if you put in 4%, we'll match 4%, work your way up till you get to that 4%, because otherwise you're losing out on free money. If they're going to give you whatever they're going to match, you definitely want to do that. And then something that we used to do, I got told when I was young, every time you get a raise. So if that's once a year, if it's every 2 years, whenever, if you get a raise, go add a percentage to what's going in your 401k, because if you think about the taxes, 401k goes in before taxes. So if you get $1 raise and you don't do anything about it, your paycheck is only going to go up like 60 cents, because all that stuff is coming out for taxes. But if you put that 1% into your 401k, the whole dollar goes into it. And it's just take your baby steps. But over time, and if you consistently, whenever you get a raise, okay, part of it goes, yay, I got a raise, and part of it goes into the 401k, or that's when you get your life insurance policy with Leslie, or whatever the case may be. But it's baby steps really do add up over time.
And it's so funny that you said that, Mary, about the raise, because as soon as we get a raise, what happened? Our spending raise. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we didn't even have that extra money. So we learned, I learned, because I'm really good about saving money. And when this pandemic hit, you had to go into that emergency funds. It's just a bad thing. And so, but if you can live here and you get a raise, then that raise can be money that you can put off into your, and save. But what we do is we get here in a raise, then we come up here,
right. You gotta take that little bit out. And that reminds me, the other piece of magic to all of that, especially like I said, if you're working for an employer where they can do that, is you're not going to spend it if you never see it.
Hello.
So when you get to things like that, where it's going to come out of your check before you ever get your check, that's that's the easiest way to save money, because you never saw it in the first place.
You can set that up. Even if you're a business owner, you can set it up to auto draft at a certain same time and you just put that on go and don't even mess with it. If you want, you could transfer to a separate account and just kind of pre-fund that account, so you don't even look over there. You can do that same exact technique, which totally works, that Mary said. Even if you're self-employed, you can make that work.
Yeah, and even there, we had when I was there so long ago, it was before direct deposit existed. We had to talk people into that. But I know when most places, when you're setting up direct deposit, a lot of them will have the option to put a small percentage of your check into a savings. Like you have your regular checking account and a savings account at the bank. You can even have them split, from your company. So again, it's that you can't spend it if I don't see it thing.
Yes.
Whatever. There's lots of different strategies like that to.
I see a question in the chat about long-term care and suggested emergency fund amounts. So long-term care is hard to find these days. It's kind of phasing out. There are not very many companies that offer it. And those that do, it's usually several $100s a month to even get a semi-decent one. Living benefits can kind of be used the same way long-term care is. The claim process is not the same and the qualifying is not the same, but it can fill that need for long-term care. So it's something worth looking into and maybe comparing both side by side and seeing what makes the most sense for you. Suggested emergency fund amounts. I would say if you're employed by someone else, 6 months of living expenses is what you would need to go for. Start with aiming for 3 months and then work that up to 6 months. Because the idea being, if you suddenly lost your job and it took you a while to get a new one, could you fund your lifestyle the where it's at? And then if you are self-employed, you probably need to have a year in the bank, maybe more. Because you never know if you are going to be the one that gets sick or injured, and you don't know how long you're going to be sick or injured before you can get back to your job. So that would be my recommendation for emergency funds. And I know that sounds like a lot, but you won't be disappointed that you have extra in your emergency fund when it's needed.
Most definitely. I just lost my job in August, and thank God I met Camille years prior, and she's been helping me get myself in order. When I first met Camille, I was horribly in debt. And I knew when I met her that I was going to be losing my job. We just didn't know the date. And so we attacked it aggressively. And I just started like paying off what I could. I started with the smallest bills first, and I worked my way up. And as I did that, she encouraged me to, like Mary was talking about, increase my 401k. And because that's what I was thinking. Once my job ended, I was going to have to live off that. Thank God I had a couple years ahead of me so that did not have to happen. And I was able to get fired debt free. So instead of being like crying and hysterical about where I was financially, I was able to, breathe. Although it's scary, it's definitely scary from going to a 9-to-5 to fully working my businesses, because I've always had the cushion of the 9-to-5, although I worked my businesses way more there than I still, it was still just like, it was a scary thing, but I just had like the group of women around me to just keep encouraging me to keep going, step out of my comfort zone and do what I have to today so that tomorrow I can still show up. And just being able to pay yourself with putting that money aside for your future self, it's amazing. In 2 years, oh my God, it's amazing. In 2 years, we were able to save up 6 months of our income and more, and more. If you just do it, close your eyes. I mean, I'm the type of girl that every time I see a sale, I want to buy something, but I know that that's not what I should be doing. Matter of fact, I take different routes so that I don't go by the mall, or I don't go into a store that I love, to be able to save and to do what I need to do. And I schedule things that way. I know what's coming up, and it doesn't just hit me like a brick wall. Like Camille said, if I don't see it, if it comes out before and I don't see it, then how do I miss it? How do you miss it? So
I want to answer a couple questions from the chat, because I know we have only a couple minutes left, and try to get to what everybody's asking. So there's a question about someone who had surgery in the past, and Tamisha, you may still be able to qualify for living benefits. It just depends on what that was for and how you've healed since then. So it's possible that you could put this in place in case of a future event, but it would be a longer conversation to determine that. Someone else is asking about if living benefits can be used for if you have a baby. So there are specific things that qualify to make a claim, and they're all kind of spelled out in the policy, and someone would need to, that would be a discussion to figure it out. Having a baby is not one of those things. However, if the mom was had living benefits before, and the comment says is home and can't work. If she's going to be disabled for longer than 90 days and can't perform 2 of those 6 activities of daily living, then she might qualify. So again, it's a longer discussion, but as far as like paid family leave, it does not cover that type of a thing. It's for chronic illness, critical injury. So we're thinking more things you would have to be hospitalized for: heart attack, cancer, stroke, organ transplants, ALS, renal failure, that type of stuff. Not more family leave type of things. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, so there's the question on there that said, what steps do you suggest for those who work a 9 to 5, yet a desire to leave and work on their own? Woo, now that's a loaded question, because it is different for everybody. I'll let you go ahead and talk about it though, because it is different for everybody. But go ahead, Ms. Des.
Sure. So what I typically recommend for people who say that join my team is it's going to be hard for the first couple years because you're going to have to work 2 jobs. And I usually tell them to keep that 9 to 5 until they're making enough money that they don't need it. And then they might need to get something part-time so that they know they've got set income coming in. Because when you start your own business, you never want to have commission breath. You don't want to be that person that's like, I need a sale to pay the rent. Like you don't want to be that type of a business owner. It's very stressful and it's miserable. So keep your day job or keep your steady income stream until your second thing is making so much money that it's just silly to have the other. And then you won't have that stress and you won't have that financial strife. And if you do want to quit your 9 to 5, 2 years, 2 years saved in the bank, and then a good business plan, and you know exactly what you're going to do. And then, okay, go ahead and quit, because then you have a whole year to try to get it figured out and another year to find a new job if for some reason it's not working. Okay, but 2 years in the bank if you want to quit and start your new thing.
Can I say this is also too, and know your taxes, because there are so many benefits with being a tax. I didn't know, because appearance is part of your job. What you can claim on your taxes. I mean, especially if you're working from your house. There are so many different benefits that you can claim working from your home, or if you're renting a building. I mean, there are so many. Car maintenance. If you're using your car as part of your business, that is a tax return, and that also can be a way to make sure that you're bringing in all your money from all your avenues, because there's a benefit in that. And I just wanted to say that because that was something I learned this year about that. So
Leslie, find a tax person to come in and talk about things that can be business write-offs, because I think that'd be a great topic.
Cindy's phenomenal for that. Cindy McGee would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
That is definitely in the making. Yes, we are looking. I am still looking for people to come in and talk about their profession and just the different ways to wealth. It's so many different ways to wealth, and everybody has different opinions on this thing. I mean, so please reach out. Everything, how to reach out to me is definitely in the chat. Please reach out, and don't forget to reach out to Camille Diaz for her money heart. I listen to that all the time, especially when I'm working out. So when I'm listening to money and I'm working out, guys, I don't even think about how I'm going to be after, because I'm thinking about how I can do, have the steps in place to become wealthy, to become, to have an abundant lifestyle, to become the person that I know that I'm destined to be. So we are definitely going to be in this space February 17th. We're going to be in this space February 17th. We're talking about budgeting and credit. So for the ones that wanted to know about the budgeting and credit, we will dive deeper into that February 17th. I'm so glad that you guys came and showed up. I felt like it was a success. A lot of you guys don't know that this is my first time ever speaking, so I was like shaking, but you guys made it a great place, and I couldn't think of any place else but to be here with you guys and talking about the things that's important to me, and I know that's important to you as well. Thank you. Just a major shout out to WHOW, Women Helping Other Women. Crystal is amazing, as well as her board. That's my VP right there, Tamora. I'm so glad for you guys to be in this space. Please, please, there's so much more to come. This is just one of the segments that's out there. And there, like I said, there's health, there's business owning. I mean, it's just so much that WOW is bringing and putting before you guys. So tell your friend to tell their friend and meet us back on February 17th. Thank you.
Yes, it's been a pleasure for everyone. Make sure you guys report to Crystal how much you learned and how great it was, because this is Leslie's first time and she was kind of nervous, but guess what? She did a great job. It's just, practice makes perfect. And so she did a great job. This is your first one. So after this, you kind of go find your ground. You did well today. So you're on a great start. We just want to thank everyone for coming. And Miss Des, it was nice meeting you. I'm Tamora. I am the vice president of WOW. So a lot of times when Crystal's not here, I try to be at everything, but basically try to step in on a lot of things when she's not there, just to be that face and accountability for WOW. So Leslie, great report. We thank you for hosting this. You did a great job.
And I noticed that there was a lot of WOW members and board members in the chat and on the call. So thank you guys for your support. I can't wait to do the same and support you. If anybody is doing anything, I love to call myself a human connector. Please email it to me and I will definitely put it out there. I will definitely show up for support, because we learn in all different type of ways and settings. So thank you guys for showing. And Mary, we must talk. I need a vacation.
Right.
Thank you. I see you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.